Seattle City Council member, member of Socialist Alternative, and also member of the very union that represents teachers at this school right behind me. Thank you so much, Kshama Sawant. Come and speak.
Sisters and brothers, what an incredible struggle this has been. Our movement for housing affordability has gone up against the political establishment of this city, the Democratic Party establishment that has for decades presided over a city with skyrocketing rents and exploding homelessness. Our movement has gone against one of the most powerful corporations in the world, Amazon. And our movement has gone against the billionaire class and the richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos. What we won yesterday, for now, and what we will win on Monday, and what we won't win, will be based on the strength of our movement versus the strength of the billionaire class in this fight. Only last fall, an even smaller version of this tax was voted down by the majority of the city council. And look where we are today. But our strength was not based only on numbers. It was also our boldness, our fighting strategy rooted in class struggle, our clarity in understanding that we cannot win social gains for the majority by asking corporate politicians nicely or by hoping that billionaires will do the right thing. It's because we had the courage to make this about taxing Amazon that we're here today. It's because we talked about Jeff Bezos that newspapers around the country have turned to Seattle to cover this struggle. It's because of the commitment of activists like ourselves in fighting again and again in city council chambers, at the Tax Amazon Town Hall, and at the Amazon spheres. Yesterday, because of our strength, the majority of the council voted for a $75 million a year tax on the largest 3% of businesses like Amazon, Starbucks, and Facebook to build hundreds of units of publicly owned, permanently affordable housing and to expand much-needed social services for better living conditions for the service providers themselves. But we know the fight is far from over. Mayor Jenny Durkan has threatened to veto the $75 million tax and is trying to force through a tax that is half that size and that has a sunset clause. That's the Bezos-Durkan deal. Already this year, sisters and brothers, 42 people have died on the streets of our city. And yet, it is no surprise to me that Mayor Durkan is willing to write off with a stroke of her pen the lives of our most vulnerable community members. This is a mayor bought and sold by Jeff Bezos and Amazon, who gave $350,000 in corporate PAC contributions to our campaign last year. So the threat to veto a $75 million tax, a year tax, in return for a little over $250,000, that's quite a return on investment for Jeff Bezos. And what does the sunset clause mean? It means that the tax will need to be renewed after 5 years. But let's call it what it is. With the sunset clause, the politicians will be saying to us, working people, that we are putting the burden on you to build a movement against Goliaths like Amazon every 5 years just for the basic need of affordable housing. Is that acceptable? Will we accept a sunset clause? We are demanding demanding that the city council not backslide on 75 million on big business with no sunset clause. This will build hundreds of affordable units every year with union construction jobs and priority hire and apprenticeship programs. We demand that no dollars raised from this tax be used to sweep homeless encampments. Tell the city council no backsliding and call Mayor Durkin's bluff. Let's make Durkin pay the full political price for championing a backroom deal with Jeff Bezos. Now it is completely understandable that our sisters and brothers in the construction trades are anxious about their jobs. We stand in solidarity with them. As a rank and file member of the teachers union and having experienced personally the gross underfunding of public education, I stand with all those in the trades who are anxious about their jobs. Shame on Amazon for holding their lives hostage to try and crush a citywide movement for housing justice. Amazon is making dizzying profits and is perfectly capable of continuing the construction and paying the tax. So why did Bezos issue this threat? Bezos and Amazon are sending a message not just to Seattle, but to the working people of every city in America and worldwide, really. The message is, if we working people have the temerity to go against the billionaire class, they will threaten a strike of their wealth and capital by moving jobs to another city, by moving their investment to another city.
Extortion! Extortion!
It's extortion. It is understandable that many workers feel that this means we should not take on Amazon and the billionaires, that we should back down and not force them to be taxed because they have the power to take the jobs away. And suddenly, we take these threats from Amazon seriously because we know Amazon has that kind of incomprehensible power to move jobs away. But we do not agree that we should respond by backing down. Amazon is pitting city against city and worker against worker. But the history of capitalism has no shortage of examples of what backing down would inevitably mean. It would inevitably mean a continuing race to the bottom for the rest of us. Corporations like Amazon, Boeing, the auto companies decades ago, corporation after corporation has extorted massively from our society's resources, from taxpayer money, and yet they have moved jobs repeatedly. Why? Because they can. And because as long as there are workers in other cities, other countries, more desperate than us, who will accept worse labor conditions. So, sisters and brothers, if workers everywhere accepted Amazon's logic, we would lose out everywhere, in every city, whether it is union jobs with decent standards of living or affordable housing. Amazon and the billionaires would continue to call the shots. They would make more billions for themselves, and our standards of living would fall even further. So what should our response be? Let's flip the race to the bottom on its head. Like we did with the $15 an hour minimum wage. Let's win the largest possible big business tax on Monday, and let's send a message of inspiration to working people in other cities, to the city that will be Amazon's HQ2, to Boston, Massachusetts, and Vancouver, British Columbia, where Amazon is about to build office towers. Our message to them is, if we can win a big business tax to build affordable housing, so can you. Capitalism, even in this, the richest country in the world, has never provided affordable housing of high quality for all. And unfortunately, it never will. It will never provide decent jobs and standards of living for all workers. That is why I am a socialist, because we need a different kind of society based on equality, democracy, solidarity. A society in which everyone has a roof over their head, food to eat, and the ability to fully express their creativity and become everything they are capable of becoming. A society free from oppression. But sisters and brothers, we know socialism will not fall from the sky. We need to build powerful mass movements. We need new political parties that reject corporate money and power. We will need a social revolution against the billionaire class. To get there, socialists must fight boldly for every reform. We fight for rent control, for a massive expansion of social housing to provide a real alternative to the broken private housing market. We fight for housing for all. We fight for socialized medicine and healthcare for all. And we fight to end the mass incarceration system. But sisters and brothers, capitalism, as long as it will exist, will inherently put a sunset clause on any reform that we win. Ultimately, we will need to build a society that invests in the needs of ordinary people, not the profits for a few. And to win this kind of society, it poses the question of the democratic public ownership of the biggest corporations in the world. Amazon does not make profits, and Bezos doesn't get to be the richest guy because billionaires go to work every day, or because Amazon invented the internet. They did not. Or because Bezos invented online retail. He did not. They are billionaires because capitalism rewards wealth with more wealth by sucking up the value created by the workers. Amazon billionaires get to be billionaires because every day tens of thousands of tech workers, prime drivers, warehouse workers, Amazon pilots go to work. Sisters and brothers, it is possible to have a society where technological advances and conveniences are harnessed for the good of humanity, not to enrich a few individuals in the world. Let's go forth on that fight, but for now, let's demand no backsliding on 75 million, no sunset clause. Let's make this tax on big business the new $15 an hour. Let's continue the fight to win economic eviction assistance for renters and for rent control. Sisters and brothers, let's be there in big numbers on Monday. The meeting starts at 2 p.m., but be there as early as possible. Let's go there and have our voices heard. And let's dare Mayor Durkin to have her face in the New York Times next week next to Jeff Bezos. Let's dare her to veto the $75 million tax that is mere pocket change for Bezos, the man who said he has so much money he needs to resort to space adventures to spend his billions. Let's call Durkin's bluff. Because when we fight, we win. 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 Thank you, sisters and brothers.